The Athonite Monastery of Simon Peter and Count Dracula. While traveling on foot through the Holy Mountain, we visited the famous and glorious Athonite Monastery of Simon Peter, founded by the Venerable Simon in 1257. The monastery hangs above the sea on a high rock, 330 meters above sea level, like a swallow's nest. As you approach the monastery, your gaze is immediately struck by the wonder of who could have built such a marvel so high above the sea. And what if a small earthquake occurs, causing the monastery to collapse? But no, as we later learned, this high rock above the sea is a marble monolith, and scientists have thoroughly probed it with modern technical equipment, and the one thing that amazed them was how anyone could have known about it 1,000 years ago and confidently built such a monastic fortress hanging over the sea. There is a story that once in the monastery, a young monk carrying a cup of tea on a tray fell from the walls. He fell down, but half an hour later, he returned unharmed. Furthermore, not a drop of tea was spilled from the cup on the tray. An angel saved the monk when the devil was mocking and trying to destroy him. We entered the monastery, and after we climbed to Okindrik, where we were invited to have coffee and Turkish delight, we noticed a large expressive portrait of a nobleman hanging among the icons of the saints. After examining the old interior, I asked the monk who was hosting us, "Who is the man in the portrait between the saints?" He replied enthusiastically, "This is the founder of our monastery, for whom we all pray daily. The ruler of Wallachia, Vlad III, also known as Count Dracula." "Count Dracula?" I asked, surprised. "Is it the same one that so many films have been made about, the vampire who drank human blood?" "Yes, it's about him," I heard the answer. He continued, "But he was an Orthodox Christian. His father was Ukrainian, from the Galician-Volhynian Principality, a descendant of the Uglich princes. And everything you have read about him in secular literature, which demonizes him as a vampire, is false. There is indeed Ukrainian blood in his veins. He spoke Ukrainian well. He passed away 545 years ago." I was stunned by this information. "Please tell me more about him," I asked. It was lunchtime, and there were few guests at the monastery. The monk looked at the wall clock and agreed to share more. The ruler of Wallachia, Vlad III, or Count Dracula, was a deeply religious man who defended Europe from the Turkish yoke. At the same time, he is credited with thousands of gruesome deaths, and in world culture, especially in Turkish culture, he is known as a bloodthirsty tyrant. But for Romanians and Moldovans, he is still a national hero who defended his country from Ottoman aggression. So, thanks to the writer Bram Stoker, the Wallachian ruler Vlad III was transformed into a vampire count. We at the monastery consider this ruler, our benefactor, a victim of historical injustice. We are convinced that, at the hands of the Romanianist Stoker, slander was spread about him, and his name was disgraced worldwide. Romanians remember Vlad as a brave ruler, whom his enemies called the son of the devil. He was indeed a very strict warrior, but this was preceded by a long and bloody history.